Hello everybody, this is Mr. Dale Campo. We are going to talk about how to compare different rates. And the way we are going to compare different rates is we are going to take a look at one problem together. And this is a problem from page 7 on the assignment that is called School Fundraisers. Alright, so let me go ahead. As always, it's a good idea to read the problem 3 times or more if you need to, and also to circle important information and underline the questions. Okay, so let me model that for you. It says here, Naisha wanted to see what the class could earn from each activity in the same number of weeks. I'm going to pause right there, and I'm going to notice that, hey, there are 4 activities. And what Naisha wants to do is Naisha wants to compare these 4 fundraisers looking at the same number of weeks. So what I'm going to do is to circle that part of the that part where it says the same number of weeks. Okay, and we'll understand that better once we look at the questions. Now, she decided to see how much they could earn in 12 weeks. Oh wow, okay, now this makes more sense, because what Naisha is going to do is she is going to change this, and this so that they all have 12 weeks. Okay, so why do you think Naisha picked 12 weeks? Well, you're going to see that once you see how we actually solve this problem. Okay, so we'll talk about letter A a little bit more, but letter B here says, how much could the class earn from each fundraiser in 12 weeks? Now, because this is the task, I'm going to underline the task. How much the class could earn in 12 weeks. Oh, it's from each fundraiser, so we'll just underline that. And then why do you think Naisha picked 12 weeks? We're going to underline that as well. So pause right here. We just circled the important information. This is also important, but I'm not going to circle it. And we underlined the questions. Okay, circling, underlining. Now we're ready to go, and we're actually going to solve. We're actually going to do a little bit of B, which will help us understand A. Okay, so how much could the class earn from each fundraiser in 12 weeks? Just a friendly reminder that since we're doing rate problems, we can do rate problems in different ways, and we can do it just like ratio problems. So we could use tables or tape diagrams, or we can just simply use multiplication, division, or addition. For this problem, I'm just going to decide to use tables because I love organizing information in tables. But whatever way is comfortable for you, use whatever way is comfortable, as long as you're doing the correct work here. Alright, so going back to the problem, letter B says, how much could the class earn from each fundraiser in 12 weeks? So what we're trying to do is figure out how much profit car washes can get in 12 weeks, how much profit can cookie sales get in 12 weeks, how much can yard work get in 12 weeks, and how much recycling can get in 12 weeks. It's going to look like this. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to draw tables for each one of these. So for example, car washes, I'm going to write car washes right here. I'm going to draw my vertical table. So I'm going to go top to bottom here, and I'm going to go weeks and profit. And so in 4 weeks, we know that car washes can get 500. It's right here, 4 and 500. I'm going to copy that down. And so now, how much could the class earn from car washes in 12 weeks? So the question is, well, how are we going to get to 12? Okay, how do we get from 4 to 12? Now, some people are going to use repeated addition. So you could just say, counting by 4s, you could add 4 and add 500. That's certainly one way to do it. Okay, and then you would get to 8 over here, and you would get to 1,000 over here. And just keeping in mind that it's 4 weeks for every 500. 500 for every 4 weeks. So if you do car washes for another 4 weeks, you would get another $500 profit. I hope that part makes sense. And then if you were to add another 4, does 8 plus 4 equals 12? Yes, it certainly does. If you add 4, you do get 12. And here, what would you do? You would add another $500 and you would get $1,500. So we figured that out for car washes. You would get $1,500 in profit for 12 weeks. Okay, now I'm going to take a look at cookie sales. So then, for cookie sales, you would do a similar thing. And I'm just going to demonstrate this. Sorry. It should always be words at the top. So you should always have a heading, I mean. So weeks and profit are going here. And this is for cookie sales. We know cookie sales is $400 for every 3 weeks. $400. Okay. And now I also want to get to 12 because that is what we're talking about, 12 weeks. Now let me pause for a moment and just mention that yes, repeated addition works, but you can also use multiplication. So what I'm trying to say is, could you go from 3 to 12? Is there a way to go from 3 to 12 in a different way? Now if you want to do addition, go ahead, do addition, you'll get to the same answer, but multiplication also works. So the question is, well, let me just model what multiplication would look like. So how do we get from 3 to 12? You would go ahead and multiply by 4. And because you may have learned how to do ratios already, you know that when we deal with ratios, and it's the same thing for rates, whatever you multiply on the left side, you would do the same thing on also the right side. So here, because I multiplied by 4, you could also multiply by 4 over here, and then you would get 1,600 right here, okay? So the only kind of confusion, so you would do the same thing. I'm not going to do all of this because for some of you, this is the work that you, well, for all of you, this is the work that you have to do. But basically, for yard work, you could do something similar. You would try to go from 2 to 12. And recycling, you would also try to go from 3/5 to 12. But wait a minute, going from 3/5 to 12? How would you go from 3/5 to 12? Okay, now, so 2 ways to do this. You could think of, one way to do it is to try to think about 3/5 times what is equal to 12. Actually, what I'll do is, let me go ahead and insert a different page here. That'll make our lives easier. Okay, so the question is, how do we go from 3/5 all the way to 12? Okay, you could certainly, oh, well, let me pause real quick. There's something special about 12. Now, we know that 12 is a whole number, and we know a whole number can be written as a fraction. Okay, 12 is the same thing as 12 over 1. Just like 4 is the same thing as 4 over 1. 5 is the same thing as 5 over 1. Okay, now, we want to go from 3/5 to 12. Now, here's another special thing about fractions. The cool thing about fractions is you can multiply the top and you can multiply the bottom by the same number. So, hey, the denominator here is 5. So I want to end up changing this fraction to a 5, to an over 5. So I have 5 in the denominator. So question, how do we go from 1 to 5? Well, you can multiply by 5. Okay, 12 times 5 is 60. So now what do we know? We know that 12 is the same thing as 60 over 5. 12 is the same thing as 60 over 5. Okay, so hey, if you wanted to do repeated addition, you could keep on adding 3/5 and 3/5 and 3/5 and 3/5 until you get to 60/5. Okay, so you could keep on doing repeated addition, and that hopefully will get you there. But if you wanted to go a faster way, perhaps multiplication might be faster for you. So now you would be kind of thinking about, well, not kind of, you would be thinking about what could you multiply by 3/5 to get to 60/5. So you would have to think about what fraction or what number would go over here to get to 60/5. Okay, so those are some things that you can use as you try to figure out the problem for 3/5. That's a little bit more, for some people, it's a little bit more of a challenge. Okay, so just to summarize real quick, tables is one way to go. Repeated addition or multiplication are other ways to go about this problem. For those of you doing the assignment, this is a problem on page 7, and it's very similar to the problems on page 8 or page 9. Now, why do you think Naisha picked 12 weeks? Why do you think Naisha picked 12 weeks? So we might say that Naisha picked 12 weeks because maybe it makes our life easier to try to, it'll make Naisha's life easier to try to compare which fundraiser is better. Okay, so you might want to say something like that, or take your best guess. This is an opinion question. Why do you think? So put whatever you feel is your opinion on that one. Okay, I do want to talk about part C though in this problem. Part C says, how can this help Naisha decide which fundraiser will earn the most money? And so how can this, what do they mean by this? Well, when they're talking about this, they're talking about this thing right here. Let me circle that. What question C is really saying is, how can changing everything, which is this, how can changing everything to 12 weeks help Naisha decide which fundraiser will earn the most money? Well, here's my answer to this one. Changing everything to 12 weeks makes it easier, makes our life easier, or Naisha's life easier, for us to compare the fundraisers. So you can definitely put that or something like that in part C. Okay, so that is page 7, A, B, and C, and I hope that inspires you to figure out how to do the other problems, or just to do any other problems in terms of comparing ratios. Comparing ratios means looking at, we're talking about rates. Comparing rates means looking at all the different rates, looking at these 4 rates, using different tables or tape diagrams or different math. Okay, I hope this helps out. Do let us know if you need more support. Take care. Bye.